The year is 1988. Faith by George Michael is on the top 100 Billboard list, and it's the era of the E30 M3, the most winning touring car ever made, with 1,436 official victories in 1,628 days. You're a senior VP that's a huge fan of motorsports, and you also know how to have a little fun. You've got your Walkman going on to your favorite tunes, your gold Casio watch, but you can't just show up to the office with a Racer Boy wing and box flares. You need eloquence and performance at the same time. It's what defines you. So what do? You get a car that exemplifies the BMW M badge in the most luxurious way. Enter the BMW M6. You see, BMW didn't just build this car for the automotive enthusiast. They built this car for the automotive enthusiast that still had to go to work and had to go show up to nice meetings at a big budget firm somewhere in New York or in Germany. These cars were meant to cruise down the Autobahn at the fastest speed possible with the highest amount of stability as possible. And given their victories and triumphs in motorsports with the M3, the M6 also inherited almost everything that makes an M car an M car. The S38 platform coming from the E24 M5 was also used in the E24 M6, and it was so good that they only did minor tweaks to it to go ahead and put it into the next generation, the E34 M5. The pedal feel and the brake feel is absolutely fantastic. Clutch is also very, very easy to drive, as with most BMWs, and the throttle response is pretty much instantaneous. The sound it makes is also fantastic. Thanks to the individual throttle bodies that are put on the S38, the engine has an insane amount of induction noise that you can hear from inside the cabin and outside as well. So this car is loved by everybody. Even if you're not a BMW enthusiast, you look at this car and it's a timeless classic. The lines of this car are absolutely fantastic. They're a combination between elegant and aggressive. And that's why the car gets its name, the Sharknose. You know, you have this sleek design, the classic Hofmeister King from BMW, but also at the front you have this very sharp edge where the kidney grills almost look like gopher teeth, but it does its job at making sure that the car's presence is known. Now, of course, if you were an executive on the road, you usually had a car with a phone kind of like this one, given this car was never optioned with the BMW phone, but it was possible. One of the fascinating things that I find about this car is how advanced the interior was. You had an onboard computer, which was down by the air conditioning and the head unit, which can go ahead and give you your time, date, temperature. It even had a timer on there, so when you can go to the track and time your laps, you can go ahead and do that. Another thing that was interesting was the check control panel. Usually on the E30s and on other older BMWs, it would be by the map light and by the actual mirror, but in this car, it was here by the blinkers. With that, the onboard computer would go ahead and tell you by illuminating in little beams if you needed to change your brake lights, if your rear lights were out, if your license plate light was out, your low beams were not working, if you needed engine oil, and coolant. The aerodynamics kit that was fitted onto the car helped give the car the aggressive look that it has, and it also made it more stable at higher speeds, along with the incredibly intricate rear suspension that these cars are known for having. You see, when you consider the R&D of certain things and certain products, you realize that, especially for, let's say, shock absorbers or suspension, something has to be usually thought up, drawn up with plans, and pitched to the company. Then it goes into development and testing. And then it finally makes it into the road cars of the 80s, late 80s, like this one. And that's how the E24 M6 ended up with a rear suspension that had an active hydraulic unit that would adapt the leveling of the car in the back. In this particular model, it works fine, and quite frankly, it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen from a car from the 80s. This car is super smooth, extremely comfortable, the seats grip you very well, the bolstering is as aggressive as you would want it for a daily driver, yet also sporty enough to make you feel confident in the fact that it won't be sliding around when you take a turn. And everything is within reach, and it's all driver-oriented. It's something noticeable in all older BMWs, and unfortunately is kind of an art that's been lost. You know, this car was for the essence of driving, while also being elegant and while also being extremely high-performing. And this car does just that. Another fun quirk that I noticed about the car was the amount of air vents that it has. I'm looking right across the dashboard, and just across the dashboard at the top, you have 4 air vents that would pretty much circulate towards the top of the cabin. Then you have another 2 down here, which are pretty much just for me. Then you have what seems to be another 2 at the bottom, and then 2 back here. So that way, my armpits aren't sweating, which is great, especially in hot Miami, Florida. The seats in the back, although not huge, look extremely comfortable. Quite frankly, they look really plush, and they almost look like a love seat. And then, of course, there's the iconic BMW handling. I mean, any sort of steering input that I put into this car, even though it's old, it still responds to it, and it's still spot on. And of course, the engine just loves revving out.
So you see, this car carries its heritage. It was made by a company proud of their motorsport achievements, and it was built with quality in mind. Age is never on the side of older cars like these. However, if you do find one, buy it. And keep it, because they truly don't make them how they used to. And you never know when you'll find another one like it again.